Good morning. Welcome back to the farm. I've been asked to do an update video a number of times, and I've started them I think like 7 or 8 times at this point, and I just haven't been able to finish them. Literally, I was walking across to the other side of the farm on the last one, and as I was walking over, I got a phone call, changed the course of the day, and didn't get to finish it. So we're going to try and get this one out before the sun breaks over the trees and makes it really hot over there, because it's supposed to be like 112 today. Let's see, where are we? We are in front of plot 1. This is going to look a little scary, but we are decommissioning this plot. So we're not keeping up on the weeding, we're not keeping up on the perimeters or anything like that. And shortly we will start disassembling this tunnel and moving it to the other side. I'm just waiting on the winter squash attempt that we did to work itself out, and we need to start building some rows over there. Once those rows get built, we'll start moving this tunnel. But you can see behind me, yeah, it's a cluster. So we'll just not look at that anymore. Moving on, in tunnel 2, we're getting things kind of cleaned up and ready to go for the fall. You can see that there is some weeds in here. We do have our next succession of cucumbers going right there, and these 2 beds have been set up and fertilized and ready to go. We're going to put in some bok choy, some greens and stuff like that after this week, after this weather passes. Over here, it's going to look really out of control, but it's actually right where it should be. So you can see all this going on in here. This is all buckwheat. There's some carrots tucked in between, and then over here we've got some green beans and more buckwheat. You may have heard me talk about this before. The buckwheat is a cover crop that we run during the summer. It feeds our honeybees, but it also feeds the soil. It'll put a lot of nitrogen back into the ground. It'll give us a lot of biomass. The roots reach kind of deep down into the soil, breaking up that clay a little bit for us. And it keeps the beds active during the heat of the summer. So, kind of see it looks a little crazy, but in the next 2 weeks we will get all of that sorted out, and all of that buckwheat will be either crimped or mowed and shut down. Alright, let's walk over to the other side. Okay, we're coming into the new farm plot side. There is not a terrible amount to see over here either. In fact, there's really not much of anything to look at here. We have been doing a lot of bed maintenance, getting things prepared for August. We're doing a lot of soil blocking right now, getting stuff started to be transplanted in mid to late August. This is really our in-between time, and this is when we reload our beds with fertilizer, we clean out the weeds, we get any maintenance done. Also this year, one of the things that we've done is get the tunnels built. You can see here we're working on the end walls. That'll be the rest of the project through August. But we've also run a lot of cover cropping here this year. So take a look behind me. You can see right through here, this is sun hemp that I crimped down last week, and we're going to run a mulching mower over the top of it and mulch all that back in, and then that will be that'll kill that off effectively so that we can get it prepped in the next 2 weeks for transplanting. This sun hemp bed still needs to be done, and the other 2 beds we just ran through and killed off the weeds, and we're just trying to hold those in place for the next couple weeks. Behind me you can see that we've got 2 weed barriers down. We're running the next succession of zucchini there, and I will plant the next round over here today. We'll get those started up. And a lot of these beds are in terrible disrepair, meaning they don't look great, but it's not going to take a lot to fix them. So coming over here, you can see that we've got more buckwheat. We planted beets in here. Trying to use the shadows to keep the beds cool. It does not look like they're going to germinate though. Don't see anything coming up, and it's been about 7 to 10 days, so that one's probably going to be a misfire. Their peak germination is 86 degrees ground temp, and we are really hot right now, so I don't know if it's going to fire. More sun hemp and buckwheat mixed. Same thing here. And then this tarp is killing off all the weed growth that we kind of lost control of in this particular plot. Once we uncover this, there will be another tunnel built right here, and that tunnel will be number 5 of 6 on this side. It looks kind of crazy, but that's our pepper plot, and those are some of the largest, healthiest pepper plants that we've ever grown. They are producing, and they're producing very well. However, we're having a terrible issue with stink bugs this year. We haven't been able to keep up with them, and they are getting more of the red and yellow peppers than we are. So there's that. The ginger patch is right up in here. We just did 50 feet of it this year, and it looks to be doing pretty well. Probably time to feed it again. And then that craziness actually has a cantaloupe vine in it that was volunteer, and we're letting that vine go. We've gotten 3 off of it so far. We're just keeping them for us though. And you can see in here, you can see all this dead growth in the beds. The black tarp that you just saw was actually over here last week. We let it sit for 10 days in the, obviously in the sun and in the heat. And in that 10 days, it completely killed everything off. So we will go through here. These beds have never been used before. We need to load them with lime and fertilizer and our micro amendments and get them balanced out and turned in, and then they will be ready to go for the fall. But we're gonna let them sit like this for probably another 2 weeks. I'll get the lime on it as soon as I can, but the rest of it will go in about 2 weeks. It'll be turned in with a tiller for the last time. That'll be the last time this plot ever gets deep tilled, and that'll be the end of that. Let's pop over and check on our young hens in the new tractor, see how they're doing. I would take you into the greenhouse, but we don't have anything to show you there. I lost my table about 2 weeks ago. I went a couple of days where I did not walk up to the greenhouse and check it in the morning, which was entirely my fault. And in doing that, I did not catch the fact that basil bush, the branch had kind of moved into the return trough, so it was deflecting water, and it deflected all of the water out of the cistern over time and emptied it all, and it died. So we lost the entire table due to no water and really high temperatures. But most importantly, we lost it to this guy not checking the table every day like he's supposed to. As we cross over here, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but this is some of our butternut squash. This end of the patch did much better than the other end. Cross through here. A lot of these did grow. All the vines put off fruit. But a lot of them are small, like really small, like single serving small. So I'm not sure. Obviously they didn't have enough food. This row is acorn squash. I'm not going to turn you into the sun too much, but this was a variety of acorn, and same thing, all of the vines put off at least 2 or 3, but most of them are pretty small, like single serving or smaller. So I'm not sure what we'll do with those. I did learn some good lessons this year on winter squash, and that will be applied for next year. I don't know if you'll see any of these at the table or not. Like I said, they're pretty small. Let's see. I don't know if you guys can see that. It just not very much. We fertilized and limed this field about 5 months ahead of planting, and then we did put in some fertilizer with the vines. With that said, I did dry farm this, meaning no irrigation. We haven't gotten the irrigation on this particular section set up yet. So we dry farmed it, and typically during the summer we have enough rain to get away with that. But this year we've been exceptionally hot and dry, and I think that is also a possible side effect here. In fact, it may be the main culprit as to why we didn't get much growth off of those. Here we are at the new tractor. We got these girls moved in about 2 weeks ago now, week and a half ago, something like that. And they are super stoked. You can kind of see back here, we've been moving them along this patch. That was a little ant pile. They didn't like that very much. They stayed away from it, but you can see where they've been mowing the grass as we move them just about every day. I pop in on them twice a day just to see how they're doing. We're inside the tractor. You can see they're all kind of bumping around, curious. They like to look. We've got their feeder suspended so that anytime we move the tractor, the feeder just goes with it. The waterer we put up front, and I tried to hang it, but it creates cavitation that allows it to just free flow the water out. Doesn't work very well. But these guys are getting fresh grass and bugs every day or every other day, depending on how fast they eat it down. It looks like they will probably get moved tomorrow. And then, yep, starting on the next move, the grass that they're going to get into is significantly taller. So they'll spend 3 or 4 days on each move eating that grass down because there's just more of it. And I want them to take it basically to bare dirt before I move them again. So they are my little lawnmowers, and they're super happy over here. They're doing pretty well in the heat. We put some water bottles, frozen water bottles in the water to cool the water down. They stay in the shade the whole day. And we also toss frozen watermelon in here in the late afternoons, and they pick on that pretty good. But that's your daily dose of the chickies on the farm. So just kind of giving you a broad scale view of what we're looking at here. This mowed section right here is section 3, and section 3 will be built out through this fall and the winter. We have to build 24 more beds, 4 more walkways, and we're going to start moving those tunnels from next door over to here, and then we have 1 more tunnel from our purchase to put up over here. So there'll be 3 tunnels in each section. Each tunnel has 4 beds in it, and in that kind of grassy area right there, there's actually a manifold and some irrigation line where we finished running everything. So I'll be able to add in another controller and another series of manifolds, and we'll be able to irrigate this whole back section. With that said, this section back here that looks completely out of control and in need of a bush hog, we're looking towards turning this possibly into winter squash and or sweet potatoes, alternating years. So 1 year we'll do winter squash, that's why I'm playing with that a little bit, and the next year we'll do sweet potatoes back there. And that's kind of a pipe dream right now. I don't really know how that's going to go. Our main concern is getting section 3 built. So we're maintaining section 1 and 2, and we're building 3. And it sounds like we're going to have an amazing amount of space, but at the same time that we're building 3, we're shutting down everything in front of the house. So all of those beds will be returned to the yard. So there's 18 beds over there. So we're losing those 18, and we'll be gaining 24 over here. So that net positive of 6, but the point behind that is that we get our front yard back. We are able to just clean it up, let it go back to grass, and it'll be a very healthy and fruitful lawn, very healthy soil. But that'll put all of our growing over here and just kind of help us separate work and life. Our business has always been entwined very heavily, and we're trying to delineate that, make a separation so that we have a little better balance. But it's going to take another 8-9 months before we're completely done with that. But when we're all said and done, there will be 73, 74 beds over here, and that will give us a lot of room for rotations. That'll give us a lot of room for successions of longer term crops. So it'll help us work through things a little bit better. And if we ever decide to do it, instead of making that sweet potatoes, we can make a section 4. But I'm going to need more employees and more sales before that ever happens. We did have a really big week last week. I will fill you in a little bit, but it's going to be another video, another email to give you the whole story. But I will tell you that we were selected for the Farmer Veteran Coalition Fellowship Grant this year to help us with some equipment that we've been saving for, and that equipment will be a massive time saver for us. Again, a little bit more on that piece of equipment in a different video. Can't give it to you all at once, but we've been applying for this grant from this organization for the last 4 years. Each year that we applied, we got larger and larger and did more and more on our own. So the first year that we applied, we only had 2 plots, and we really probably didn't need it at that point, but we threw our name in the hat just in case anyway. And we were passed over. The next year we added another plot, we applied again, and then last year we applied with this section over here with basically an application that had a lot of we're going to, or we did, or we're getting ready to. This year when we applied, there was a lot of we've already done all of this, we have built all of this, so we had a lot of skin in the game, and that was the point at which we were awarded the grant, which makes sense. They wanted to make sure that we were putting in more than they are, and I absolutely understand that. They're a wonderful organization that helps veterans. They offer a ton of training, they offer internships, they have a job posting board to connect agricultural industry jobs with veterans who are getting out and need that transition assistance. They offer tons of training for farmers on how to do things like GAP or finances or insurance, all of the things that we should know that we don't know. Farming is not just putting seed to soil or raising livestock. There is so much on the back end administratively that you have to do and know just to survive the industry. It's an amazing amount of information that you have to learn and keep track of. If all I had to do was grow crops, that would be amazing. But insurance and taxes and payroll and regulations and legislation and all of the administrative burden that goes on any small business owner, to include farmers, it's incredible. That's what makes business hard, small business hard, is having to do all of that yourself or split between 2 people. Anyway, so they awarded us this grant. We were able to purchase the equipment we needed, and it is going to be a massive time saver for us. It's a wonderful piece of machinery. Like I said, stay tuned. We'll do another clip on that because it deserves its own spotlight. And I wanted to highlight Farmer Veteran Coalition for all that they do for veterans and for active duty military that are transitioning out. If you're ever looking for a place to donate, hit them up. They could use the help, and they're putting it in the right places and putting it in the hands of people that are putting their own skin in the game. Anyway, we're going to close out this video this morning and try and get this edited up this afternoon, get it sent over, and let you guys see what's going on. Have a good one.